So because I also teach meditation and I'm interested in lots of mystical things, folks will often ask, is Alexander technique spiritual? And it certainly doesn't have to be. And it certainly is not in the sense of what it promises to be. It's an effective technique for managing pain, for amplifying performance, for just general betterment of life overall. But I have to be honest in that some of my earliest spiritual experiences came as a result of Alexander technique, came as a result of the mind-body connection that it exploded and explored within myself, and the illumination of being with myself in activity, being aware of being aware, which is really a consciousness practice. So many teachers over the years have referred to it as Zen for Westerners. Even if you think about the classic Alexander getting in and out of a chair, the more you do it with a teacher, the less words are needed. And the more it really is you attuning to yourself and allowing their subtle, very gentle hands-on to make you more aware of all of the ways you're getting in the way of yourself. And then your job is simply to say no to those habits and to see what new can happen as a result, what more freedom can be born of that. For me, that was a very spiritual experience. It's not spiritual in the sense that it conflicts with, rather, or is dogmatic about itself. And, you can practice Vedic meditation and still study Alexander technique. You can be a devout Christian or an Orthodox Jew or whatever, and still get a lot out of this technique. But it is very much almost a remedial form of consciousness, especially when you consider how many of us today, of all ages, but increasingly the younger generation with how much they've evolved with technology, we're so unaware of our bodies. And in the Vedic tradition, we have this idea of consciousness and space being the same thing. So the shape of the body is the shape of the consciousness. So by that logic, Alexander is a very spiritual activity because we are looking at the shape of things to allow for a freer flow of consciousness. And on a more technical, historical level, during World War II, it was the Gurdjieff community, which is an esoteric, mystical tradition that would oftentimes gather in communities on farms at the time. And these Gurdjieff farms and communities were a big part of why the Alexander technique survived World War II, because many of its biggest proponents and practitioners were major intellectuals in Europe who would have been persecuted had they not had those places to go and continue the work.